So I have one particular story I'm going to tell you personally about my journey with my daughter first, before I get into all the other stories that of clients approaching me in workshops or in private sessions for their children. So as I was developing my intuition at the time and starting to open up through Reiki and spiritual intuitive workshops, as my gift started to open, my daughter started to open. So she was 4 at the time, and we lived in this one particular house that had a lot of activity. It was a highway of spirits, vortex. Now, for me at the time, and of course, my ability has evolved and changed, but at the time, when spirits would come into the house or live in the house, actually, I could sense where they were in um, the house, and I could sense if they were male or female. So, but my daughter, there's two reasons that I created what we call the bubble. And the color, it's to protect the aura, so it allows the spirits to leave the kids alone because they got to sleep. I've got to sleep, my child's got to sleep. But on the other hand, my daughter liked to sleep in my bed, so it could become a manipulation too. So this is where I created the bubble game with her. So at first, just to see her own ability, I would sense them in a corner in maybe the right side of the room. And then I say, so do you sense somebody in the room? She goes, yeah. And I said, where are they? And she would say, the right corner. And I said, male or female? And she says, it's a male. But I didn't get really excited about it, going, oh my God, you can physically see them, and freak the crap out of my kid. I would make it as normal and natural as possible. And then I would say to her, so what do they want? And she said, I don't know. They're just hanging out. Cool. So it also helped validate for me that I'm on the right path. Okay, I'm sensing a person here in the room, and I'm sensing it's a female, but I'm not getting the physical, actually physically knowing what they look like. I'm feeling their presence, where she could, not her third eye, but her physical eye at that time, she could see the spirit in there, in the room. So the bubble game we came up with, and it also helps your child's intuitive ability. Number one, it gives protection. It also helps to strengthen that muscle if you go down that path with your child. So before bed, we would have the bubble game. So basically, I would tell her this is her force field. This is to protect her, so spirits can't bug her while she's trying to sleep. Because again, in the spirit world, they don't know that we sleep in this realm. Over there is no sleep. So we, as humans, we need our sleep, or we get cranky in the morning, kind of thing. And so this is the reason I created it. And also, they're just happy to work with them and play with them, and they just don't understand. They don't see them as these cute little wee little babies or young children. So when I tucked her in bed at night, I would say to her that she would pick a color in her head. And let's say it's pink. But I have to guess that color. And if I guessed the color right, if I got it right, the pink, then that would be the color we would have for the night, so that she was protected in her color, and so that she has no fear of going to bed. Or we would take turns. So the next night, I would think of the color, and let's say I'm thinking of green, and see if she could guess it. And if she picked the color right, that would be the color we would have for the night. 9 times out of 10, my daughter would get it completely accurate, um, the color that was in my head. For me, picking the color for her, guessing the color, if I wasn't tired or not thinking too hard about the color that she's got in her mind, I would get it. But if I was tired or thinking too hard of the color, 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't get it. So out of that, it gives a sense of safety, but it also keeps your child out of your bedroom. especially if they want to manipulate, because sometimes they just do it because they just want to be in your bed, because that was my kid too. So this is the reason I came up with it, is sometimes it is true that there's somebody in the room wanting to play and bug her in the middle of the night and freak her out and make her uncomfortable. So that was part of it, but the other part is, you know how children are. We love them, but they can manipulate. So it, because sometimes I don't know if they're bugging her or not. So it set a boundary so that she couldn't get away with it anyway. She just wanted to come and sneak into my bed because she just wanted to be with me for the night. So that is called the bubble game, is what I call it. And that's a way that you can help your child in that exercise, um, to set that boundary for them, that they can come in waking hours and deal with the child. In waking hours, talking to grandpa or talking to a guide or an angel, they can do it more during the waking hours. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about some other exercises or suggestions that I've given to my clients to help their children with their gift.